Why did Gandalf jump when the dwarf army appeared at the foot of Lonely Mountain? Even the Elven King put his soldiers on alert, because this army was the strongest force of the dwarves. They were fully armored in metal, and their leader was Dain, the King of Iron Hills. In the original book, Dain was the one who beheaded Azog. In the film, however,
would you consider just shutting off?
This detail was changed, but it did not affect Dain's power at all, especially when facing these elves. Dain even used his trump card, the spin arrow. This surprised the Elven King, but Thranduil was not intimidated at all, because the Elven army's strength was not to be underestimated either. When facing the charging dwarf ram riders, the elves used a tactic of retreating to advance, drawing the cavalry into the heart of their forces. They then picked them off one by one, showing their excellent teamwork and combat experience. But just as the battle was intensifying, an unexpected event occurred. Suddenly, a few earth serpents appeared from the mountains. They were also magical creatures, and they were orc engineers skilled in tunneling. Now their appearance was to create a shortcut for the orc army. Sure enough, not long after, thousands of orcs charged out. Azog appeared again in their sight. Upon seeing the orc army, the humans and elves stopped their actions. Dain immediately charged at the orcs, because in Middle-earth, every race considered orcs to be public enemies. Although the orcs had no numerical advantage, it didn't diminish the dwarves' resolve. But just as the two sides were about to clash, elven soldiers leapt into the battlefield from the dwarves' ranks. Neither side wanted to be looked down upon by the other, nor did they want to fall behind. Thus, the dwarves and elves fought side by side against the orcs. Together, they successfully held off the orc assault. But after seeing their first defeat, Azog sent out the war orcs. Their massive size was something ordinary humans couldn't contend with. But the elven archers responded by firing volleys, immediately killing many war orcs. The dwarves then used chariots to sweep the battlefield. But the giant orcs saw this, and the chariots were like toys to them, easily being overturned. At the same time, another wave of orcs attacked River Valley Town. They even used catapults. The town only had refugees from Long Lake Town, and they had no strength to fight the orcs. Seeing this, the dwarves and elves had no choice but to split their forces. One group headed to River Valley Town, while the other stayed at Lonely Mountain. But the outcome was predictable. Facing such a huge difference in numbers, the armies of the dwarves and elves were soon in a bitter fight. The dwarves who stayed behind were cornered. But just then, the heir of the Dwarven King, Thorin, charged out from Lonely Mountain. This scene boosted the morale. It sparked the determination to fight to the death in everyone's heart. At the same time, the civilians of River Valley Town, seeing the horrors of war, realized the reality. To survive, they must fight. The battle entered a full-scale clash. At this moment, Thorin thought of a plan. That was to deal with the orc leader Azog. He originally planned to go alone, but the expedition members would not agree. They rode ram chariots across the battlefield to clear the way for Thorin behind them. Then, under Dain's admiring gaze, the dwarves of the expedition charged directly into the orc army. The process was nothing short of thrilling, but to restore the dwarves' glory, how could they fail in their own homeland? Soon, they broke through the encirclement and headed straight for Ravenhill, where Azog was. But just then, a war orc charged toward them.